Good morning. Actually, good morning in South Korea. This is Tammy, Texas Desert Rose here. And I'm going to do a quick little snippet about introversion, extroversion. Now, you'll notice on the channel there is an auditory recording that I did earlier on about the same topic, but I'm finding that people prefer to have a video, a visual, and this will be a little bit of a shorter version. If you want a more extended explanation of introversion and extroversion, please feel free to click on that link. You should see it below. And that brings me to the idea that please be sure and subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you can get these recordings as they come out. I have a wonderful person who's agreed to join me, who it has a few things to offer is in our next recording or our next interview. She is currently and has historically gone through postpartum depression. And I find there's not a lot of information out there about that. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So please stay tuned for that to post as well. So let's get to it. Again, I'll remind you I'm a licensed therapist out of Texas. Currently working in Camp Humphreys, South Korea. Loving South Korea. It's a little bit cold for my blood. Here we are, mid-March, and it's starting to get up to 60 degrees here. But it was quite a walk. Let's just say that I'm going to have a whole lot of coats that I'm not going to need now because you need every one of them here. So, okay, so introversion, extroversion. There's a lot of misconceptions about introversion, extroversion. The main thing being that, and I understand this, it's assumed that the majority of the world is extroverted. Well, not the case at all. Would you believe that 40% of the population in a study that included over 500 participants, which is well within, a decent population range. 40% are introvert. And the thing is that we extroverts are louder. So I could see the assumption being that a majority of us are indeed extroverts. It's also a misnomer, a misunderstanding that introverts, it's about shyness. You can be a shy extrovert and you can be a not shy introvert. Here's the test. Are you ready? If you process information before you can speak, it's hard for you to talk until you've really figured it out, you're an introvert. Okay? If you talk things out in order to make your brain move, you're an extrovert. That is, I have found to be true over and over again. So think about it. Haha. Unless you're an extrovert and then you don't have to think about it. But like in social situations, a majority of the reason why it's very uncomfortable for an introvert to be in a social situation is it's exhausting for them, for you. It's exhausting. And think about why. When you're standing there, you enter a room, you're not sure what's expected. Do I know anybody? Now, that may go into more of the social anxiety stuff, but if someone comes and talks to you, you have to take in the information, process it, and then respond. That's twice, 3 times the energy and effort of an extrovert. I can tell you when I walk into a party, the last thing I care about is what I'm supposed to say and if it's correct or if it's not correct or needing to process about it. So the way you know an extrovert is somebody comes up and says something to me and I just say something out. And if it's completely incorrect, I don't get in my head about it, so to speak. I just go, oh, okay. It's very important for an introvert to process and get it correctly first before they speak. And it's not like you choose that. That's just how it is. That's how your brain processes. Just like I am okay with just saying something out and being wrong. You'll hear an extrovert will be talking and literally kind of figure things out as we're talking, our brains rolling. How many times I have looked to a friend or my business partner and said, just stand there and let me talk because I've got to figure this out and I can't think unless I'm able to move my mouth. So when I had that understanding, it helped me so much. Here's the caveat, probably a few caveats actually. As you get older, you tend to go into your opposite. If you've always been very introverted, you'll find as you get older, you become a little bit more out there, a little bit more extroverted, maybe never to an extreme. Um, if you've always been extroverted, and I'm finding this with myself now, you will move toward introversion. In other words, used to, for me, to be alone or in my space for much more than a few hours, I'd be chomping at the bit, ready to go on. I would at least be connecting on phone, calls, making plans. Okay. Now that is not the case. And for a while there, it felt like it was depression or something. And it took me a while to figure out it's not depression. That is just, I'm more inner reflecting. I spend more time on my own, studying, processing, figuring things out, journaling, researching, planning these things, pontificating the future. Um, that was never me before. I'm much more willing to be still as I get older and figure things out. I also am finding that I'm more exhausted sometimes at some of the social interactions, whereas before it was never enough and it energized me. It energized me. And that is also a very big difference between introvert and extrovert. Extroverts, we are energized by human interaction. I still enjoy that. I still get energized. Um, but also can pick up a lot of the energies of other people, and it can be exhausting or it can be wonderful, just more aware of that. An introvert definitely picks up on that energy. And also remember, you're doing extra work, you introverts. You're doing extra work to be able to have communication. I do know that my daughter, who is introverted much more than I could ever be, she will often say, Mom, they said this, or they texted this. This is what I feel. How do I say it? There's a whole lot of how do I say it, which has given me the idea that with an introvert, it's really important to get your thoughts across accurately. Whereas an extrovert, we're not going to be concerned about that, because when it comes out wrong or if you misunderstand, then we process it out and I correct it, you know. Um, and you can have, and in her case, she is a social introvert. So you don't have to be, shy is a completely different characteristic. Shy does not mean introvert. Introvert does not mean shy. I know many extroverts who are energized by being amongst people, but it's hard because they are shy and there's that social inhibition piece. So very different. So yeah, introvert, extrovert, processing internally versus processing externally. You go towards your opposite as you get older. The other thing is that when you're under stress, and I'm not talking about a little bit of stress, I'm talking about extreme stress, like I've got to make a major decision, then you're going to go into your opposite. For example, I'm an extrovert. I talk things out, right? But when I'm under stress, guess what I do? I go internal. I process. I go quiet. Sometimes some of my connections, my people in my life, though, will reach out and check on me because that's not usually the case. That's a good example for what an extrovert does under extreme stress. It may be good stuff like where to decide or whether to take that job, or how it's going to impact my family, things like that. An introvert, when under extreme stress, guess what? That's when they're reaching out and they're saying, hey, let's go have a coffee. They're calling you. They're going into their opposite. They're needing to process out loud because they're under duress and they're taking in information. So none of us are extremely one way or the other. It depends on what's going on. Just know, you introverts, that you're 40% of the population, at least in the US. I haven't looked worldwide. Um, so you're not alone. You're not strange. You're processing the way your body works best. And us extroverts, we can be very loud. Some of us are not loud. Um, and loud in one culture is very different in another culture. I mean, there's just so much that can be said with this. I'll probably do more with it at some point. I wanted to make this a quick little thing just to throw out there. So if you have comments, hopefully this one, the comments will be on. I'm learning YouTube, and if you put that it's kid friendly, they turn the messaging off. So I will not do that this time so that I can receive some of your messages. Also, you can always reach me on Texas Desert Rose Facebook page and comment there. Yeah, anytime we can communicate about some of these things. Love some of your feedback. And hope you have an awesome weekend, and happy St. Patty's to my Irishmen out there. God bless. Peace. Take care.